Anybody ever feel chaotic?
Yes.
Out of control?
Yes.
Disorder, mayhem. All right. What I want to tell you is that's the norm in life, right? That the norm is that everything tends to descend into chaos and disorder. All right, and what we do as people, humanity is the only animal on the earth that tends to set things in order. No other animal on the earth will take a bunch of rocks in a field, gather them into a pile, and then stack them into a wall. Right? That's really interesting. Okay? And what's really interesting about that idea is that when you take something that's like a rock and you set it somewhere, it tends to stay there for a while and it doesn't move. We've got a lot of things like that here, okay, that we set in place that don't move very often, right? One thing, like for example, the lumber rack, right? The lumber rack, everybody knows where the lumber rack is. It doesn't move. Okay, the table saw, the joiner, the planer, these saws right here, those we put there and they don't move. And that's helpful. We get up, we order things, we get up at a certain time so that we can get here at a certain time. That's a psychological, that's an intellectual rock that we put in place. We wash our clothes. We have a way that we fold them. We probably have a place that we put them. Right? Because that kind of order, it gives us, it gives us comfort. It helps us to get along and to do things. But what's the norm is chaos. Right? And the chaos that we feel, or the chaos that we might experience, that's normal. And to expect it to be anything different is not right. And that's what makes us as people amazing, is that we have the ability to make order out of chaos. Has anybody in our company in the past week or so felt a level of chaos?
Yes.
Okay. There's chaos that happens. Mayhem happens. Okay? But why does it happen? Because it happens because the natural tendency of just existence on this earth is chaos and disorder. And there's a chaos and disorder that when we try to set things in order, the force of chaos and disorder is so strong. It likes to be in charge. It likes to have things in control, in its control, and it will do what it can to try to undo what you're doing. And the more that we try to order things and put things in order, the more resistance we get from that mayhem and chaos that formerly was in charge and had control. But guess what? We're taking charge and we're taking control, and you don't think we're going to get some resistance? This is the natural order of things. But what do you do when you have a little bit of chaos and mayhem in your life in your organization? Well, there's a beauty and a power of taking the rocks that are strewn about, right? Gathering them into a pile and then starting to place them. Because that one rock that you pick up and order will stay there for a while. You see that? You know, and then if you can pick up another rock, bring it in and place it where it goes, that will stay there for a while. So what you have to keep on doing is, yeah, there's chaos and there's mayhem, but what each of us can do, whether it's in the organization here at Wood Window Makeover or it's in your own lives, you can take one of those rocks, take a rock that's out of place, that needs to be put in order, and take that rock, gather it to yourself and put it in order. You see that? And you do not everything, but you pick up one rock at a time and you put it there. Maybe you can pick up two. Okay? And maybe you can devise tools for yourself where you can pick up a whole lot of them. Maybe you've got a sort of wheelbarrow where you can pick these things up and gather them. Okay, all right. But wheelbarrows don't happen automatically. Those have to be organized. Those have to be assembled. Those have to have air in the tire. Because sometimes we get so busy, what do? We just get caught up in our activities. And maybe somebody's assigned us an activity, maybe we've got an activity of our own. We get so caught up in it that we can't see that, look, there's all these rocks out here that we need to be gathering up and setting in place. You know? Now, there's a natural order to things that we all understand. Okay? Like, for example, none of us would take a board, put paint on it, and then immediately run it through a table saw. Right? Paint side down. That doesn't make any sense. There's a natural order to things. Last week, we put this over here. This is just a little space here. We're trying to define order. Is it perfect? Far from it. Okay? But guess what? We put that there the other day. It's still there. It hasn't moved.
It's a start.
It hasn't moved. It's still there. Okay? We got this paint room is still there. We got table saws are still there. The office is still where the office is. That rack back there. Now, that's funny. I look at that rack back there, and there's still nothing on it. And I'm wondering if we're going to actually be able to use it. I don't know. I mean, it probably will, right? I mean, I think so. But see, that's the kind of the thing that you got to figure out, right? Is you put something in order. Maybe by putting that in order there, we are able to discover a better order that we would not have discovered had we not put that there. Here's a good question: is when you're trying to put things in order, will things get worse before they get better?
Sometimes, yeah.
They will. That's a principle as ancient as time. Okay? And the reason I got my Bible out is because when my life was in chaos and disorder when I was a kid, I asked, Dad, why are things so crazy? I'm trying to do better, but it seems like every time I try to do better, something else happens. And my dad took me to this passage, and he says, this is Jesus. He says, talking to somebody, he says, when the unclean spirit goes out of a man, it passes through waterless places, seeking rest, and doesn't find it. And then says, I will return to my house from which I came, and when it comes and find it unoccupied, swept, and put in order, then it goes and takes along with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. And the last state of that man becomes worse than the first. Did y'all hear that? So that he's not making up something new there. He's just observing that timeless principle that when you try to set your house in order, you're going to meet resistance. Okay? And you got to be ready for that, because that's just the natural order of things. The other proverb is, I passed by the field of the sluggard and by the vineyard of the man lacking sense. And its surface was covered with thistles, and it was covered completely overgrown with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. What's interesting about that is you have a man who passed by the field of the sluggard. What's the sluggard? The sluggard is the person who's not trying to set things in order, right? Is not trying to keep things maintained, because once you get things up and in order, you got to maintain that order. What happens if you don't? Well, I passed by the field of the sluggard and the vineyard of the man lacking sense, and behold, it was completely overgrown with thistles, its surface was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. That's the natural order of things. If you stop paying attention. He looked and he reflected upon it. He saw and he received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and your poverty will come as a robber, and your want like an armed man. See, that's just the natural order of things, and this guy 2,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, observed that. You got different types of people, right? You got people who are building something, ordering things. They're on the move. They're observing the world around them. They're passing by the field of the sluggard and they're learning. I don't want to be like that. Look what happens when he doesn't do this or she doesn't do that. Everything crumbles in on them. You have to actively be ordering things, because the tendency of our world is disorder and chaos and mayhem, right? And so when the unclean spirit goes out of a man, out of a person, it passes through waterless places seeking rest and not finding any. It says, I will return to my house from which I came. Right? So the very second that you try to set things in order, you are setting yourself up for a trial. Right? You're setting yourself up for the test, because nature, universe, God, whatever you want to say it, okay? Here's your statement, I am going to change things. Right? And they say, oh, are you serious? They want to know if you are real. Really? You said you're going to put things in order. I don't believe you. So let me throw at you a test. Let's see if you're really serious about putting things in order. So you can expect that. That's just the way that it is. It doesn't matter what religion you are, where you come from. You can be an atheist, and that's still true for you. You try to set things in order, you're going to be tested.